Hi everyone. Today I'm returning to Linkin Park. I have listened to one of their songs before, that is Breaking the Habit. Now today's song is Given Up from 2008, and I have just one little sentence on my screen here that says, Chester Bennington's ability to hold a note, a Fry screamed D5, B4 for 17 seconds is considered the highlight of the song. 17 seconds of that kind of note? I want to hear this.
No escape. I'm my own worst enemy. I've given up. I'm sick of feeling. Is there nothing you can say? Take this all away. I'm suffocating. Tell me what the fuck is wrong with me. I don't know what to take. Thought I was focused, but I'm scared. I'm not prepared. I hyperventilate, looking for help somehow, somewhere, and no one cares. I'm my own worst enemy. I've given up. I'm sick of feeling.
Okay. So it's interesting noticing the kind of instrumental support that he has, or collaboration rather, because I think this is certainly a piece that has more of an equal footing, at least so far. The instruments are more on an equal footing with the voice. But the introduction was interesting to me because I was thinking, what an interesting mix of sounds. They've got the hand clapping. In fact, I want to go back to that. We won't dwell there too long, but this introduction. Somehow that hand clapping, even though I see on screen that it's hand clapping because I'm watching the video and I can see the hands clapping, something about the sound of it, to me, immediately makes me think of footsteps striking the pavement. It does, and if I weren't watching the video, I would have no idea. It would not cross my mind that it was hand clapping. That's an interesting sonic quality, sonic effect, and perhaps it's intentional to kind of give us this feeling of kind of running down the pavement, running down the street. Or maybe it's just because that's what my ears think and that's where my mind went. But even now, I know, and I see it's hand clapping. But my ears are screaming, feet striking the pavement. And then the jangling, which sounds like, okay, this could actually work with the hand clapping. It sounds like bracelets rattling, right? This sort of jewelry chains shaking with the motion of either clapping or running. And then here comes the guitar. And then suddenly, everything. The drums, the bass,
Waking a sweat again.
and the sound, once everything comes in, is so different. Meaning, that introduction, hand claps, kind of metallic shaking, and then that little bit of guitar. Um, it's light. It's there's a sort of delicacy to it. There's a lightness. There's a fragility, and then suddenly to have everything else come in, and it feels rather. I'm going to say primary, meaning if I were to put this in terms of uh, visuals, I would say it is the primary colors. It's the red and the blue and the yellow, and it's in big blotches. It's not really refined. It's rather primary and elementary, but not meaning. You know how a you know how a child paints with bright colors and makes these really large shapes, and they're kind of abstract, but it's kind of that sort of feeling with the whole sonic mix, because everything sounds so distinct from each other. It doesn't have a lot of blend, and that's why I say it's primary and elementary, because of this distinct quality, the distinctiveness, the separateness of each instrumental sound. And there's a lot of sound. It's almost like, in a way, a sort of wall of sound quality, but it's not one solid wall. It's separated. It's these large shapes, each their own shape. And that is an interesting way of supporting and collaborating with the voice, especially because the voice is kind of this rough fry style. It in itself doesn't have such a distinctive clear shape. It's rougher around the edges, right? So it's an interesting way of setting everything up, but and it has, because of that, it makes a very distinctive musical end result.
Another day's been laid to waste in my disgrace. Stuck in my head again. Feels like I'll never leave this place. There's no escape. I'm my own worst enemy. I've given up.
In a way, I would say, if I'm going to go with this whole visual simile, I would say his voice is charcoal, and everything around it is bright colored paint or crayons or something like that.
Given
And sometimes it's a fine line like this.
I'm sick of it.
Other times it's a rougher, broader stripe.
Take this all away. I'm suffocating. Tell me what the fuck is wrong with me. I don't know what to take. Thought I was focused, but I'm scared. I'm not prepared. I hyperventilate, looking for help somehow, somewhere, and no one cares. I'm my own worst enemy. I've given up. I'm sick of feeling. Is there nothing you can say? Take this all away. I'm suffocating. Tell me what the fuck is wrong with me.
So, I use a lot of visual imagery and imaginative picturing of different things when I'm trying to express what I hear and what I feel when I listen to music. But I rarely have a piece like this that drives me so far that direction that I find myself, as I'm listening to it, I find myself visualizing I don't know, a a piece of artwork. I find myself imagining myself sitting down after hearing this and painting a visual illustration of the piece. It's it's so tempting to say, I need a piece of paper and some markers and everything, except I'm not that great when it comes to visual representations. But I can picture it, I can imagine it. And I think it would be so much fun to have several people sit down with a song like this and go through a sort of expression interpretation exercise saying, okay, listen to this, and while you're listening to this, make a piece of artwork. Abstract, nothing, just deal with shapes, abstract shapes and colors. Think colors and shapes and textures and see what comes out. It would be a very modern piece of artwork. It would not have any sort of, you wouldn't recognize it as any scene or anything like that. But it would be an interesting thing, and I would be incredibly curious to see how similar and how different, let's say, half a dozen different individuals' creations were when listening to a piece like this. Because to me, it comes so clearly in my mind. I can picture it. It's just a fun little thought. If any of you are inspired to do it, I'd love to see your work. Share it if you wish. Okay, that was the moment. Funny, just before that, maybe 10 seconds before that, I was thinking, he has an incredibly powerful voice. There is this sort of innate strength to his voice. I don't find it a voice particularly attractive myself, but there is this very inborn, inseparable strength and power. And it doesn't matter if he's doing this scream type or if he's doing a cleaner sound. Something about his voice is incredibly strong. And by strong, I don't mean loud. Even when he's not singing at full volume, there's this sort of core element to it that is, I'm thinking of a steel beam. It's unshakable. It's unbreakable. And then he says, yeah, but watch me. You know what I find impressive about it is, other than the fact that it's so long, but there are some things about it that make me think he probably could have even held it another second or two if he chose. I love the fact that I don't hear him gasping for air either before or after. Yes, you hear him take a big breath, but talk about some incredible breath control. And the other thing is pitch control. For a note that long, he's not sinking or rising. He's not warping off of the pitch. He is straight on, and the note never loses its energy. It never starts to feel like, oh, is he going to make it? Oh, he's running out of air. Oh, no, he just drives it all the way to the end and down, and keeps going, and then finally cuts it off with absolute control. And then you hear him take a breath, of course, but it's not a gasp. That's really impressive. I couldn't do that, certainly not, and most people couldn't, but he does such a good job of it.
I've given I'm sick of feeling. Is there nothing you can say? Take this all away. I'm suffocating. Tell me what the fuck is wrong with me?
All right. Nice. He didn't drag it out at the ending. It felt like a good place to stop, and they simply stopped. In fact, the ending, in a strange sort of way, resembles the beginning, because suddenly it feels like all the sound is gone. Well, in the beginning we had the introduction, that light, more fragile instrumental quality. And we don't have any sort of instrumental closing. We don't have anything really changing. We just come to the end rather abruptly. But all the sound. And somehow it feels like the instrument's cut off before he does. Yes, the instrument's cut off before he does, just by a fraction. And so all we hear is his voice, and it feels so natural. I don't know if it is. It feels so undoctored and so natural, so real in that fraction of a second after the instruments are gone, that it brings a kind of a recollection of the fragility of the opening. Just in that split second. Once more. And I'm thinking, as impressive as this long note is, really impressive, and as passionate as the entire song is, somehow I feel like the introduction and this last little short bit of time at the end are equally important in setting up how we perceive this song. Because what I feel is an expression of pain and frustration, really frustration. This idea of, tell me what is wrong with me. Tell me, is there, I'm sick of feeling, is there nothing you can say? I'm suffocating. Tell me what is wrong with me. And I'm not prepared. I thought I was focused, but I'm scared. I'm not prepared. I hyperventilate, looking for help somehow, somewhere, and no one cares. I'm my own worst enemy. There's a lot of frustration and pent up struggle, disappointment, defeat, and still a fire within, right? We hear the fire within, certainly. But to set it between these two fleeting moments of a more, I could say, a more naked musical style, makes it feel so much more real, so much more sincere, genuine, less of an, okay, I'm going to write a song about this, and more of, this is the expression of a real person in a real life somewhere. And if you were to take those two small elements away from the front and the back of the piece, I think that I wouldn't have had quite that same experience. I wouldn't have felt the same when it came to the end. That fleeting little bit there at the end made me feel like, oh, I'm face to face with, I have dust under my feet. I feel the air on my face. I feel that I am, touching this person. And it's not a performance. It's somehow the person themselves. And it's a piece that has some powerful emotions and really intense, anguished expression. You can do that. You can totally do that in performance. You can. People do it all the time. You get on stage, you do your performance, you get on the camera, you play your part, whatever, you walk away. And maybe it sounds incredible, and maybe it checks all the boxes. But to have it feel so personal, that's tricky. And I guess that's what I find, in addition to that incredible long note, that's what I find also outstanding about this piece of music and this performance, is that somehow it left me with this feeling that not only am I listening to a real person expressing a real experience, but somehow I feel their presence. I feel as if I am present with them in their physical presence. And that is also very impressive and very powerful. So that was Linkin Park, Giving Up, and adding that to Breaking the Habit. Now I've heard 2 of their pieces. Maybe they'll come back in the future. And maybe we'll hear some more impressive singing from them. See you soon.